Metal Matt, Alice Cooper here. Good name, by the way. I'll tell Rob that I talked to you. You're a singer-songwriter. And the best thing I can say to a guy like Metal Matt is, whatever you do, don't rust.
Going back to an iconic album, School's Out. Do you have any memories of that and the recording process, or just the writing? And did you know it would be so iconic at the time? Did you have a feeling that that might be
The
the end?
song,
And the song mainly, yeah, School's Out. Did you think that would?
well, the album was, the guys in the band look at it like it was Glenn Buxton's album because that was so, all that West Side Story stuff and all of that punk from the back of the class and the guy that's smoking cigarettes behind the gymnasium while Alice and I are running track. You know, it was so Glenn Buxton. But now, as opposed to being in Chicago uh, for Love It to Death and Killer albums, now we're in New York City. And not only that, but this was the first album that Bob Ezrin did on his own, producing. Before we had Jack Richardson overseeing those albums. But I mean, we were experimenting like crazy, which, come on, let's tip a hat to the Beatles for that. We were like 3 o'clock in the morning, we ran a cord with a microphone all the way out through the alley in the back of the building out to the street. And every time a New York City cab driver would come by, and it was summer and it was hot, so they had their windows open, well, we'd yell at them and they'd yell back. So we wanted to record that and put it on the album. Unfortunately, all everything that the cab drivers yelled back was explicitives that we couldn't use on the album. So, but we had fun. And the like on Alma Mater goes into this kind of an old cowboy horse riding off into the distant sound, doom,
Yeah,
ba-doom, ba-doom,
I
ba-doom,
love that. Yeah,
and
yeah.
you hear a coyote. Well, that's me out in the alley behind the studio doing my famous coyote call that I
Wow.
perfected on hay rides when Alice and I would go on hay rides in Arizona. I thought that that impressed the girls, even though I have no proof that it ever did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one of my favorite songs actually off the album. I always love that one. It's kind of
Neil wrote that, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
Camelback High because that's the school he went to, and then it says Cortez High because that's the one that Glenn and Alice and I went to. Schools Out, the song itself, was the first time that we all knew it was going to be a hit. You know, we wrote I'm 18 because the record company said 18-year-olds are that's the age group that buys the most records because they're still living at home and they have a job. So we wrote I'm 18 as big hit. Then on Killer album, we had Under My Wheels and Be My Lover, but they weren't quite as big of hits as 18 was. And we're saying, well, we got to write another song for this kid, you know? And we all went to school together. So Schools Out was just, it's almost like we didn't write it. It's almost like just the creative gods dropped it right in our lap. But we knew it was a hit because I used to say, if I know what's a hit single, 90% of what's on the radio wouldn't be there. You know,
Yeah,
I had no clue what a hit single was, but that one we knew. So we had all of the music and the arrangement. We all locked in on all of that, and then we had the lyrics. Except Bob Ezrin said, "Okay, this sounds like the hit. So let's really polish these lyrics to perfection." So he got a legal pad and a pencil, and we were all in a room together, and we started at the beginning, line for line, and we came to one line that nobody could come up with anything. Finally, Bob said, "You know, we're bogging down here. Let's go ahead and finish the song and come back to this." So the whole song was finished, but we still couldn't think of one line in the song. And we kept, the more we tried to think of what the line should be, the stupider it got. Finally, I said, "Hey, wait a minute. we're the kids at the back of the class. We can't even think of a word that rhymes, and Neil's like, oh, no shit, Sherlock. It's like, yeah, no, that's it. We
Yeah.
can't even think of a word that rhymes. And then everybody, the light bulb went on in the room, and that's it. We
Yeah,
brought it
that's
down.
perfect. It's such a great song. I mean, it's an iconic song, and I guess it's just relatable for everyone, pretty much. Everyone kind of
Yeah.
wants
The
to
only
get
the
out of
only
school.
people that it's not relatable to are about 1 year old.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I kind of like the whole album how you captured a bit of some of it's about, wanting to get out of school, and then the other side of it is kind of the sad bit of leaving your friends and things like that. So you kind of captured the whole vibe of leaving school in that sound. Even I used to listen to that album when I was kind of at the end of my school days, which I didn't enjoy very much, but the album gave me some,
Well,
happiness.
it's funny. School was like that for us. Well, Alice and I had such a Ferris Bueller thing going at school. I mean, we got away with murder. For
Yeah,
one thing, the high school was on its second year open when I started, and then third year open when Alice came, and a lot of the rules hadn't been etched into stone yet, so we were able to really uh, finagle our way around a lot of the rules and get away with murder, basically. I'm not sure that we learned a lot, but still, there's that thing where you don't like school until you're not in school anymore. And then all of a sudden you start missing all of the things that were cool.
yeah, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's kind of there was a freedom of that age, even though you were kind of controlled and you want to get out of that. There's a freedom of just not having the responsibilities, and when you're older, and it's kind of yeah, there's
Right. Not having to do homework for one thing.
that's one of the best parts. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
But see,
Paying bills,
that's
man.
that probably is a big factor for the camaraderie and the chemistry of the Alice Cooper group because we all went to school, high school in the same town in the same year, and uh, and then when we were out of school, all of the things that you can look back on school and say you miss, we just took it with us. That became our show. That became the School's Out album. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just us, and even on this new album, Schools Out had Blue Turk. This new album has What a Sid, which is along those lines. But as soon as we get together, I'm 78, but still we go in the studio recently, and all of a sudden I'm in high school again.
yeah, yeah.
Music, like I say, music, if it doesn't kill you, it'll keep you young forever.
That's it. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I kind of with the rebellion of that album. I remember on my last day of school, I was with a friend in the top up high, and we were throwing all the dictionaries out the window on our last day, and that was kind of
Oh,
our
all
schools.
right,
That was great.
all
Yeah,
right.
that's a memory that's just come back to me. I haven't thought of that for years, but yeah, it's a funny thing.
So we wanted, as far as Neil and I on the rhythm section on Schools Out, we decided that we wanted it to be militant,
Hmm,
like, hey, we're getting out of school, like, so on the choruses, Neil has like a bolero thing, but with the bass, all downstrokes playing along with it, we got it to drive more in a more militant feel. And then when we got to the bridge, another one of those departure ideas, we wanted it to sound like little kids on a playground. So now the drums and bass, the bass, doo 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 doo.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so those were intentional choices that were to support the concept of the song, and that's how we worked. It's like what's the feel of the song? What's the song saying? And what can I musically play that supports that feel?
yeah, yeah. I love that. You really achieved that. I think that album will forever be an anthem. I can't see it ever getting old. It's perfect.